accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Nothing else? All in favor?
Aye.
New business, change order process, which was, here's copies here, but did anybody have one of these?
I do not. Oh, I do
Yeah,
have
just
one.
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay, so basically, we put together, Dan work on a policy is how the change order process will work. This is very similar to, I was only on the high school building committee, and this is very similar to the high school building committee. In order to make the process keep moving and not have to wait to have meetings, you know, for a monthly meeting to do a change order, this would be the process that we'd use. And so I'll give you a chance to take a look at it. And something to keep in mind is the vast majority of change orders, hopefully all of them, will fall underneath that $25,000 number. And in fact, change orders can actually save you money. That's something, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that it costs more. Then there's quite a few times change orders will cost less. We'll change the project price. As well as some things, we were actually talking about this today in the construction meeting. There could be a case where an order is put in for this type of material, or this material with this finish or this color, and the supplier says, well, yeah, I can get that for you, but it's going to be 8 months, or it's going to be 4 weeks, and you can get this in 2 weeks. And they give the architect and the contractor, general contractor, the ability to make those decisions without having to come to a monthly meeting to do that. Of course, anything that was large was put there, and then if need be, come to the full committee vote. I fully expect that that won't occur, and we'll go through the process. But there'll be hundreds. You know, there could be
160.
160 changes. Which is
We would
over
do
a big
a
deal.
pool, I'd say
I was gonna say, is
160.
there a Google?
Are you joking? I was gonna say 2.
No,
I'm an idealist. I can't-
So, I mean,
200.
let's be realistic, so,
No, you teach me. I
so I'm gonna teach you, so the building starts going up, Ellen walks through it, we need an outlet here, let's change. We need Wi-Fi there, let's change. I didn't envision this space like this, can we add a window, let's change.
All change orders start with L. He's not blaming, he's giving
The
them
majority of value of change orders will occur up till the roof is on the building. Once the roof is on the building, I'll be able to pinpoint exactly what the total cost of this project, because it follows the same pattern. There's almost next to nothing after the roof is on.
Okay.
So the majority of them are foundation related. You know, we dug up an oil tank that was put in 1812, you know, full of gold. So these type of things do happen, and that's why we have a contingency, and we have a healthy contingency. And I suspect, you know, with this policy, the purpose of this policy is to save the town money, and we save the town money by delivering decisions quickly. Because if the decisions are not delivered quickly, the change orders will rapidly increase in cost because the contractor knows they can't get a decision. And on the future change orders, on the first few, if there are quick turnarounds, when the next few come in, they add to it because they know it's going to take longer to do, and they may be past that portion of work and have to go back to it. So that's the purpose of the change order policy. Now, $25,000 is a lot of money. If we have a change order for $25,000, it's probably something I think the chief executive officer should weigh in, which is the mayor, because it probably has something to do with something that we may want to document a little better than an outlet. So, and that's the purpose of the policy. We do this just about on every single job. It works really well. If we can deliver the team, the OPM, the designer, and there's no one can do changes. So we have a triad that has to agree, and that's the OPM, the designer, and the chairman of the building committee, which is Tim. So if the three of us agree, that change order becomes put into the change order bucket. We get 9 or 10 of them together. We formalize it with a legal document, which the mayor has to sign. as the signator on the actual contract, because a change order is a change to the contract.
So will you all just tell us the next meeting when the change orders have gone
So-
through, or do you email?
So at
everyone?
every meeting, I'm gonna give you a list of every change that's been proposed, and every change that's been agreed to, and every change that hasn't yet been processed into a legal change order. I'm also gonna give you a budget so you can track where the costs are.
Right, and you
Okay.
said, oh, sorry, are you done?
Since,
He's never done.
I know, so I just, I'm right in.
no, but I like the fact you interrupted me, because I do that all the time, and I think it's okay.
Okay, great.
So,
Go first.
So the budget that you're talking about, and we have a contingency amount, can you remind us what that is? I remember that it's like 9% or 10% or whatever.
yeah, I didn't bring that document, but it's about $1 million, so.
Okay.
I don't suspect that we're going to use much of it.
And you were joking about the 160 because we did a good job about.
No.
No,
think
I wasn't
we're-
joking.
Yeah,
There'll be
That's what I thought too.
there'll be 160 PCOs on the
but
sheet.
it's gonna be a lot of
So-
like just.
So what you guys don't,
Yeah.
what you guys don't see,
Okay.
okay, as you're making those decisions on whether to have 16 panes of glass in the windows, or whether to have 2 panes of glass in the windows, okay? The structure's being designed, and there's clips, and there's angles, and there's bolts, and all those things get detailed. And, you know, there's gonna be a couple of clips that don't work, steel's not gonna fit. Well, we have to go out in the field, and we have to modify it to make it a legal connection. So that'll be a PCO, we'll agree on a price, and it'll come in the PCO log as angle clip column line C.1, proposed $1,285, agreed $852, approved. All right, and there'll be color, like everything I've given you, will have color. So once we agree to a change order and send it to the mayor, those will be colored in and they're off the sheet. If they're white, they're still active. So, and we assign responsibility. So there'll be 4 categories of responsibility. Errors and omissions by the architect, bona fide unknowns, dug up pool of gold, value engineering, we found a better way to do it, and owner-directed changes, which will be 90% of them, will be owner-directed. So our goal is to have less than 1% changes based on error and omissions. That's an incredibly successful project. And we having worked with Johnson Roberts on a few projects, I can tell you that's about where we'll be. All right? But it'll be 160 little things that make it 1%. All right?
So if everyone thinks that sounds good, could I get a motion to accept the policy as written?
So moved. Second.
If there's nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
Who did the second? Because I know that
Carol.
Lisa's
Sorry.
going to ask the same
Carol,
question.
yeah, I saw.
Okay.
So under new business, this isn't on the agenda, so we had a construction team meeting this morning, and one of the roles of the building committee is to approve payment of bills to be forwarded on to the mayor, the director of finance, and all of that. We have 2.
That's why we're here.
That's right. So what we have, and I didn't bring my glasses.
Only have 2, you should have 3.
Weak cheers, but I'm
I
shy.
thought, yeah, you only gave me 2. There's no bond.
I don't send you mine.
Well, you weren't getting paid anyways, but
Oh, okay, that's all right.
I have.
Okay. You're not terribly strong, but.
You want me to read them?
Yeah, why don't you read it? I'll bring my glasses.
So, the first bill is, oh, jeez, I sent you.
I'm trying to fix it.
I sent you the wrong one.
Sent me the wrong one.
I did.
Oh, no.
So, we only have one bill.
Meeting adjourned.
We only have one bill. So the one bill is for $180,210, which is bonds and insurance for the general contractor. The general contractor is required to put up a payment and performance bond and insurance for the project. So that has been completed. And there'll be additional insurance from Maya with regard to builder's risk. for an event outside of the coverages we have with the contractor to add another layer of protection to the city. And we're waiting on a quote from Maya. I worked with,
Brenda?
no, Phelps.
Oh, Laura?
Laura,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, Laura.
Yeah,
I filled out the form for Maya.
okay.
Okay, so she has that form. Not terribly important until we get too far down the line anyway, but it needs to be done probably by the end of September.
So this bill is paying D.A. Sullivan, who is paying their insurance carrier.
They pull a certificate of insurance and we pull a certificate of insurance? Is that
Correct.
how it
We
works?
cover the builder's risk, they cover what they're required to cover.
Right.
So this is, it's the performance bond, which is a separate bond, which he mentioned they pay in full. And all GCs pay in full. Well, not all GCs can pay in full. This one can, because he's a good GC.
Yeah.
So he pays his bill in full, then we have to reimburse him for that. And then a portion of his, just general liability, workers' comp for doing projects, and he does that based on the size of the project. And that's what these two are. So we had that meeting this morning with him.
So the bill is $180,210, but we retain 5% and put it in a bucket. And that retainage stays in that bucket till we get closer to the end of the project, and then we start releasing retainage based on how complete the project is. So the check will be written for $171,199, and I will get you a notarized copy, Mayor, so it can formally be processed, but we have to do the vote.
And is this the life of the project regardless of how long it is? Meaning,
The
you're not
bond-
doing
the
this
bond-
each fiscal year, or what is it?
You know, it's for the life of the project. The payment and performance bond actually extends beyond the life of the project. The builder's risk, that probably closes out about 6 months after the project's done. And if we ever have to talk about this again, it's not good.
Right.
So hopefully we don't bring it up
We
again.
won't talk
That's where we have to cover it.
So, the good news is you're covered. So the taxpayers are covered with the bonds. So DA Sullivan goes bankrupt, doesn't perform, we have the right to pull the bond and ask the bonding company to finish the project. If he's not paying his subcontractors, that's what the payment bond's for, they'll pay his subcontractors. So, you know, occasionally we'll get a claim from somebody saying, I haven't been paid. And if the payment is from a contractor that is not a filed sub-bidder, if you remember the two-tier system that we did, they have to claim against the bond, with them the bond information, and they go to town and have fun with the bond company. We don't get involved. It's against the law in Massachusetts for them to lien the city of Greenfield. It's not like a house, it's not like a commercial project, so we have some great protections. But, you know, we will monitor that, because if the claim comes in, it usually means, you know, a bad.
If anyone was here 21 years ago, the bond was used on the middle school.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I studied that in one of my
Oh, yeah.
my MCPPO class.
Yes, yes.
On how not to do a project.
That's it.
So,
And the rules-
it also is why,
See,
one
law
of the reasons
school
you have an
everywhere is
OPM.
also.
It's one of the reasons why you have OPMs today under the Construction Reform Act. So-
And why it's, I did it has procurement officers.
So if there's a motion to accept.
You already have it?
Yep.
And seconded?
Right.
Oh, no, that was the last one,
Yeah.
sorry. For the
What do you
payment.
need, I'm sorry?
A motion to
So moved.
approve.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Old business, so just standard updates if you have anything else.
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick update so that you all can go home to have dinner. The construction portion of the project began when we signed the contract. We've had 2 construction meetings. The library director attends those meetings. We will bring in appropriate city staff as we get further down the line when we're getting ready to do tie-ins in the street. We'll bring in Marcus Marlowe, and when we start talking about systems in the building, we'll bring in George to the meetings. So we're in a really good place. They're putting together their schedules. We're starting to agree on schedules of values for their requisitions. Most of the subcontractors have been signed up, and a lot of submittals have been submitted. So a submittal is every nut, every bolt, every piece to this building gets submitted before it gets delivered and installed. So that includes the hinges on the door to the big steel beams you're gonna see rising out of the ground. So we approve everything that goes into this building prior to going up. So all of that paperwork is funneling its way through right now. And after meeting two, I would have to say we're on target. We have no complaints from the contractor that the architect's being slow, no complaints on anything. We did talk briefly about, and I guess I'll refer to you on the groundbreaking.
Yes.
But the contractor will provide, you know, a backhoe and a pile of sand for us to be able to use the shovels and do the thing.
And the status of the shovels is?
They're sitting in my office.
Nice.
You wanna see what they look like? I'll show you the picture later.
No, yeah. I'll be surprised.
I ordered the model I was told to order from your office.
I have a question. The subcontractor dispute, how did that end up?
Oh,
It
good.
was a bid.
So we had a big dispute.
That's right.
I forgot about that. You know, thank you for reminding me.
Ancient
We won. The lower bidder had a valid bid, just as we said they would. And I participated in the appeal, and the attorney for both electricians participated in the appeal. And it became pretty obvious during the appeal, the Commonwealth wasn't gonna have anything to do with this appeal, but the appellant, the person that made the appeal, was, I think, trying to clarify what is de minimis and not. So the lower bidder had wrote down a number that was $240 off, just forgot to write, is it like 18,240, wrote 18,000. Doesn't matter to us what the number is, because it's in his total number, which doesn't change. And the difference between the low bid and the second bid was 18,000. So it was de minimis, and that was what we thought it was, and it was upheld, and the Commonwealth basically said that an error like that in the future to all other contractors is going to be tolerable, as long as it doesn't change the bid results. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have another question. What's happening with Le Petites? We ever,
That's where I
I'm
come
scared to
in.
bring that in.
No?
I don't know. All was going quite well, up to sometime in mid-June. We were speaking to Mr. Rufo via email. The last email I got from him, in that time frame, he was asking some questions about over there, said that the vendor of La Petite, person that does the food there, was interested in moving over there, but wanted to see it, you know, that everything seemed to be going fine. He ended, and he said, he ended that email, I think there was a few questions that needed to be answered. He ended that email by saying that he would be leaving his job there and moving to a different job, I think still within the Commission on the Blind, but that one of his staff people would be taking over for him, and we would be talking to that person in the future. So I took the time to get him his questions answered as best I could, sent back an email expecting to hear from him, and I haven't heard from him yet, or a staff person. I went on vacation, and it's been on my list, see about Le Petit Cafe. I haven't gotten around to sending an email to who I think the staffer was, but I will do that soon. So nothing, I mean, FRTA is interested, Mass Commission on the Blind was interested. I don't think that anything that the vendor at Le Petit Cafe did there couldn't be done at FRTA if he wants to do other things, you know, more in-depth things, like I don't think they can support a violator over there, things like that. Then it might not work. So we're kind of at a standstill right now. My apologies.
It's just that we have.
A little time.
We wrote into the documents that the contractor doesn't get that section to work in for a while.
Yeah.
So the mayor will have plenty of time to resolve it.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean I'm going to sit on it, because I feel like it's
No,
that one thing that's left undone that
we'll start squawking as we get closer.
yeah, that needs to get done, for everybody's benefit, FRTA's, the man from Le Petit, and I guess the Commission on the Blind. There isn't a plan B at this point in time, because I keep thinking surely plan A will work. So, you know, maybe we'll put that bulldozer with the sand real close to the picture. So,
So it's kind of related to the vendor. I mean,
yeah, I don't
his respect
get,
or his decision of whether.
yeah, I didn't get, I've never talked to this person. I don't even have a name for that person. He just keeps referring to him, the gentleman who runs Le Petit Cafe. So, I suppose it could be up to him, but he seemed to be, according to Mr. Rufo, seemed to be interested in moving. You know, it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. He wanted to be sure that wherever he was going had as good a access and to the same people that he had been serving all along, which I think the transit center does, and more maybe. It does not have the same visibility, obviously, and that would be difficult to get in downtown Greenfield right now anyway, unless the post office, that's kind of plan B, unless the post office allowed him to be in their parking lot somewhere.
I'm confident we'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Too.
Okay, if there's nothing else.
Sorry, I was just wondering, I know we're working with Mark Sullivan from BA Sullivan, and I forget the other person. Toby Sullivan? Right. So you guys have already been meeting and planning all kinds of stuff. It's kind of awesome, it's just happening.
Yeah, we've had two
What our job is.
meetings.
Well, I see you sometimes out the window, and I'm like, why doesn't Dan come say hi to you?
Because I'm still mad over the energy.
Are you mad?
I lost. I never like to lose.
No way, we all win.
Yeah, so the construction meetings, they've gone well, and they're 3 hours long of
You're
details
digging in.
about
Yeah.
the
Good.
things that
That you would.
his project manager and Mark Sullivan want to talk about, you know, submittals.
Yeah, I mean, it really gets into the nitty gritty of,
Right.
you know, how's the floor tile gonna butt the rug? The detail shows this, but in reality, we need to do it this way, you know, those type of things, so.
Which will eventually start happening on site. It's just not at this point.
Yeah, as soon as we get into the trailer, it takes a completely different dynamic. Right now, we're zooming, and we're lucky all the participants are zooming, and it's been working out good. And we've all been behaved because Ellen's on. So, no language issues yet.
Except for Ellen.
Like
a sailor.
Really good.
So Lisa's
Just
really laughing.
That's
She knows the
after
truth.
That's after she hits leave the meeting.
But, you know, at future meetings, like I'll take this requisition and I'll start populating that budget I gave you. The budget really won't change until we have a formal change order, or we expend money on survey, or we expend money on something. that's in a column that needs to be shifted. I mean, you're in a really good place, you should be happy, and before long, you're gonna start seeing stuff happening. You see fence go up, the trailer go up, you know, porta potties. I mean, when the porta potties get delivered, that is it, we're on our way. So, that's the big day. When you drive by and see those porta potties, you're gonna go, it is awesome, it's really gonna happen. So, but that's it, that's what we have. We're working and, we hope everyone's happy, and you all have my email. Don't be afraid to email if you've got a question, or you have a problem, or you think we're doing something wrong, or, you know, we didn't fill out a form to get an energy rebate, or, because there's still
That's
some of
already
that.
taken care of.
So wanna make sure we wanna get all, wanna get every dollar we can back. You know, it's gonna be an awesome building, it truly is.
Yeah.
So on the cash flow side of things, are we good? Like we've done, like when we pay this bill, do you have a big enough pot so far?
Yeah, we're not even into town money yet. We won't be into town money probably till the third requisition. So, the first, you know, with the grant money, and as a matter of fact, did you get the next? You're waiting on the building, permit, right?
To apply for
The next one.
yeah.
Because we're in that fiscal year, there's no reason why we can't get the next grant payment, so.
Do you
And that,
know we actually got half of it already?
yeah, because they ended the fiscal year.
Right, they
I
wanted
did
to-
not know that.
Yeah.
They wanted to dump money so that
Yeah.
the legislature wouldn't take it, that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Sometimes they give you 2 payments in a year. Do you mind taking a second payment? Yeah, no. We don't want it. So,
We found all this gold in an oil tank under the.
so the answer to your question is from a cash flow standpoint, yeah, we're in great shape. We're using the Commonwealth's money.
But the third requisition will happen,
When the third requisition happens, we'll start using temporary borrowed money.
yeah, that's like fall
Which is
or-
a ban, and that schedule was given to Liz Gilman, so she knows what the cash flow is, and she manages the money for the town. So she's expecting X number of dollars a month as we go forward, and we project the best we can on like a bell curve, so that she can manage the money, because she's, you know, she's obviously dealing with more than one project. She's got water, she's got sewer, she's got, you know, a lot.
CARES, FEMA, MEMA.
ARPA cares,
Fire
all right?
All right,
Sounds
sounds
good.
good. To take a motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh.
Oh.
First, I thought you were the first.
Chair's not supposed to make a motion, even though I see it happen.
Motion by,
Yeah.
All in favor?
And
yeah.
Second by Carol.
And everybody's.
all in favor?
Aye.
Are you available?
Thank you.
Yes.
You were going on vacation.
You.
So